yourself in this picture. You're looking out at your college life, and the panes of glass in this window are monumental possibilities. The opportunity to do some intense research in the Bahamas, the possibility of working with a member of the Royal Shakespeare Company. Bet these are things you never thought you'd see in college. And think about this, the chance to take every one of your college classes one course at a time. If you're seeing all these possibilities, you must be looking at Cornell College.
I love it here. It's been great, just meeting people in my class and the tennis team and all the different programs I'm getting involved in. It's just been unbelievable.
Coming to Cornell has definitely made me a different person with all the opportunities that I've had. Going to Costa Rica, having these wonderful relationships with professors, and one course at a time has definitely affected my life.
One course at a time is definitely the way to go if you want to find an academic calendar that pushes you farther than you would have thought that you could have gone in a 3.5 week class.
You're going to come to a school that doesn't do an academic calendar like you've ever done before. That means you're obviously going to attract the type of student who has a little bit of a, a daring side or something like that, and I think it carries over. Cornell students are all vocal, and you can't stereotype us.
Why is Cornell College so committed to one course at a time? Because we're convinced it's the most intense, most flexible, most useful way to educate students.
Liberal arts plus one course at a time, I think, is an unbeatable combination because it allows students to zero in, to go deep, to reflect on to go on, to study something else, and to think again.
Students actually retain the knowledge of the subject matter better in one course at a time than they do in a semester system. Well, I think all those things are advantages in graduate school.
It's become one of the greatest, most memorable places, and it's just in a little town in the middle of Iowa, and it's come to become so much a part of everybody's life.
It's been having that impact for a long, long time, since Methodist settlers founded Cornell College in Mount Vernon, Iowa in 1853. That's why you'll be struck by the historic flavor of the place the minute you visit us. We're the only college in the country to have its entire campus on the National Register of Historic Places. It's a campus built on a hilltop. Yes, there are hills in this part of Iowa.
When I came to college, I was really city girl, and I've learned to love Iowa. I love Iowa so much. It's a really beautiful place, just very green and lush and open, and the people here are just so genuine, so nice.
You suddenly become part of this community, you make tons of friends, you get really into your classes, and you learn how to succeed. And everybody at Cornell wants to see you succeed, especially the professors and other students. So it's a real community of people at Cornell.
It's a community molded by our one course at a time calendar, OCAT as we call it. Here's how it works. Every year, we offer a total of 9 3.5-week terms. Most students choose to attend 8 terms and select one course from approximately 60 offered each block. The optional 9th term can be used anytime during the year for vacation, internships, independent research, or another class. So what's it like to come from high school into OCAT? Surprisingly easy according to our first-year students.
There's more work in the class just because it's condensed, but you're just focusing on that class, so you don't have geology, and you don't have English, and you don't have a speech class and band and choir all going at the same time. You just have this one class.
We'll try to make you more comfortable by offering you classes that have only first-year students in them. Everybody in the same boat, exploring OCAT and discovering how it adds depth to the liberal arts education we deliver.
And they are the people in whose hands the future of the world rests. And our responsibility is to try to enable them to be creative and imaginative, using the resources of the wisdom that we can pass on from the past.
I think that's disrupting class.
Well, they're laughing at your teaching methods, not at my show.
We believe that education happens best when we limit class size to 25 students. With only 1,000 students on campus, teaching is a personal experience, especially for our professors who have taught in large universities.
I remember standing at the podium and looking out over an audience of 200, 300 students and just seeing hair. That's just, all I can do is see hair and hear with 25 students, I know you by the second day, no matter where you sit.
Normally in a typical class, your professors are always in lab with you, and normally you have another teacher assisting the lab. Definitely you will not be standing there like, oh, do I put this in? Oh no, whoops, there goes the whole experiment. I just blew up the room. So definitely you do have someone else and they're guiding you along.
OCAT breaks all the stereotypes of the typical college class, starting with class length. We don't measure time here in 50-minute chunks. So, in some cases, your class time might be the full day. That intensity is what it takes to create a work of art. Work in the morning, work in the afternoon. Come back again later if you want to finish up. We also don't bind you to the confines of a classroom wall. We may very well take you to one of those proverbial Iowa cornfields to collect data, then come back to campus to analyze it in the lab. Intensity and flexibility.
Abbey Creek is located just right outside of town. As a matter of fact, we took a field trip there today where we went out and we just measured stream gradients and velocity and got in the water and just kind of interacted with nature a little bit.
De maintenant, quoi, de l'Amérique.
Ça vient de maintenant, mais très souvent quand on dit ça...
In some classes, we go a little farther afield. This French class utilized on-campus technology to research Cajun music on the internet. The next day, they packed up and left campus. By day 3, they were in French-speaking Louisiana, enjoying the people, culture, and music.
I think it's really important to see places that you didn't imagine existed. That's what I'm hoping students will get out of this. And last year, one student told me that she couldn't believe that there was a place just 18 hours away that was so different.
People describe OCAT as total immersion. Here's the proof, pun intended. A February trip to the Bahamas to study coral. 16 hours a day, in the water and in the lab.
You need to be flexible, you need to be able to sort of think on your feet and solve problems when you're down there. And then when you get back, the nature of what you're collected may not be exactly what you thought you were going to be getting going in.
On her nose, all over, embellished with rubies, carbuncles.
And with the rubies and carbuncles, I mean, your hand gestures are right.
Our academic calendar, short, intense periods, gives us the opportunity to invite professionals from around the world to share their talents with us.
I think you might think that because I've got all this stubble that I'm actually a tramp posing as an actor from the Royal Shakespeare Company. I'm actually growing this to go back to the Royal Shakespeare Company to play Falstaff. So 4.5 months would have been out of the question. I've been very pleasantly surprised. I mean, the students are fantastic. I probably learned as much from them as I hope they've learned from me. And we've had a great time.
Professors with a passion for their material. They challenge you to live it with them and share their intensity.
Class is definitely an intellectual challenge with Professor Allen, always. Most of his courses are some of the toughest courses I've ever had, but they're also some of the best grades I've ever had.
I think it's that kind of intellectual stretching, you know, that sort of intellectual pumping of iron that is what really stays with people. I think what an institution like this does is to really help people in kind of intellectual skill development. I like to think that we're much more in the business of developing intellect than we are in the business of filling memory banks.
Our idea is to expose students to all kinds of perspective. There isn't anything that we don't cover. There isn't anything that we don't think about. There is no question that we don't ask. And along the way, they learn to communicate with one another, communicate with the faculty members, and to think for themselves.
Permanence and tradition. There's a pride of place here, and King Chapel embodies it. The chapel's stained glass windows send a kaleidoscope of color onto countless rehearsals and performances. Speaking of tradition, just outside, the Rock is a favorite target of students bearing paintbrushes. Students pass it every day, starting about 8:30, as they leave the residence halls. Beautiful historic buildings like Bowman Carter and Murner. The flow moves through the Commons for breakfast, ordered to go by the looks of the eclectic variety of food and drink that accompanies a 9 o'clock class. 2 hours later, it's back to the Commons for lunch.
Unlike other colleges which have staggered lunches and people come in at various times, everyone is there and you know that everyone's going to be there. It really helps foster that kind of community that I think we like to have on campus. It's a very close-knit community, it's very supportive, and people are around you all the time.
After lunch, students may head back to class or lab. But by 3:15, the campus is alive with activities. Since everybody is available at the same time, you see more participation in more organizations, more intramurals than on most college campuses.
We just finished up flag football. Yesterday, it was probably one of the most successful flag football seasons we've ever had. In terms of number of kids that came out, people that enjoyed themselves, people had a blast.
The activities we take part in reflect the kind of people we are. Our men's and women's social groups will host a party one day, do community service the next. We do things to have an impact and have fun too.
We're a small station, but it's college radio stations like Cornell all the way across the country that you get to hear bands you get to hear. I mean, REM is the classic example of a band that never would have made it without college radio, and I just feel good being a part of that.
One activity that attracts a number of our students is volunteering in the community. This Cornell College tradition is part of the events that welcome first-year students to campus.
Most of our students come here with volunteer experience. They've done this with their church or through their schools now. They see that first day as a signal of just what it is we're all about here, and they want to be part of it.
That was the day we're shoveling horse manure. We think leadership starts with service. Service teaches a lot about how to build human relationships.
And quality human relationships build a sense of community. That's why Les and Katrina Garner enjoy inviting all freshmen to their home and feeding them homemade pizzas. It's an attitude that permeates Cornell College.
I can sit down and have a conversation with my professor about my homework. At the same time, I know his kids, I know his family, I've been to his house, I've had dinner, you know. So you get to know him on a personal level. That makes a huge difference.
Going through orientation here really helped me figure out ways that I could become connected with Cornell, helped me really make Cornell my home for over the next 4 years, and that really helped make a difference while I've been here.
Many of our first-year students are housed in double rooms in Pauli-Rorum, men in one part, women in another. Maybe it's the shared intensity of OCAD, but something makes residential life a little more personal here. All of our residence hall rooms are wired so that each person can have access to email and the internet.
Imagine having a dial-up connection at home. We're 10 times faster than that and can do everything that you can do and more even. Cornell's just about top of the line in terms of networking on campus.
Cole Library offers online access to the Cornell College holdings, plus libraries around Iowa, the Library of Congress, and library catalogs available on the web. It's also a good place to get together with classmates for group projects. The center of social life on campus is a particular location inside the Commons.
You can find out what's going on campus at the orange carpet. You can study on the orange carpet. Anything that you can and imagine will be done is done on the orange carpet.
It's a perfect place to see a concert put on by our unique steel drum band. They call themselves Pandemonium.
It's a great experience. It's actually changed my life in more ways than I can imagine. We've already made a city. We've traveled in Carnival and Nice. We're the only group that represented the United States of America. They loved us.
Studying abroad is another opportunity that works well under OCAD. One block might be Europe with a Cornell professor.
I think we had class 2 hours a day and a lot of reading to do in that 1 week span. And then for the second 2 weeks of the block, you go to Spain and you see all these places that you talked about in the first week. So it was really neat to see all these historical sites and be right there where a lot of history had happened.
Upperclassmen might spend a block doing biology field research in Central America.
You can be in a class and you can read about the rainforest and you can read about relationships between organisms, but to actually have it in your hands, in front of your face, all around you is just an amazing experience. You learn so much more with that hands-on approach.
These kinds of experiences light a spark. You come back, you present your research at the annual Student Symposium. It happens in almost every department at Cornell College. Go to Florida's Gulf Coast to study mollusks, bring them back, and make it your senior project.
So I'm going to continue to work on it through the year, and it's an honors thesis also, so I'll have to defend it to the department and to other interested people. But it's really giving me a chance to really find out what is involved in research and how much work it actually is, and letting me know if I want to go that direction or go a different direction.
in grad school or in my career.
Which reminds me, your proposal is due like soon.
Yeah.
Our campus is just a few blocks away from downtown Mount Vernon. We have our share of painted ladies, except that ours are the older residential type.
You know people when you walk into downtown Mount Vernon, and people are very welcoming, very friendly. You know it's safe, and it's just a different kind of beauty that I hadn't expected when I came out here, and I've really grown to appreciate, and it's definitely a place that I'm gonna miss when I leave here.
Our two closest neighbors have different personalities. Lots of things for students to do in nearby Iowa City.
There's music and plays and people and clubs and coffee shops and bookstores. So it's really nice to go there.
Cedar Rapids is the corporate center, the cultural center, the center of government. It offers numerous opportunities for internships because people here know the kind of student that Cornell College produces.
When I met Mark, I was impressed not only with his ability to see a big picture, especially in an organization as complex as ours, but also his motivation. He's a very motivated young man, and I knew that he had the kind of powers of concentration that I was looking for.
Students can devote an entire block to an internship, and that opens up sites outside of Iowa. Lucas Haldeman found two that meshed his interests in business, English, and web page design.
So the first internship I did in Chicago, I built up a huge portfolio because I was really into the web stuff. So I just got addicted to it. It was like 10 hours a day. So I had tons of work just built up. And then that led to another internship in San Francisco for the whole summer, right in Silicon Valley, the bed of technology. And I was at a little startup. I was looking at consulting companies, and now I actually took a job where I was interning, and I moved up. I'm now a product manager.
Our athletic program also benefits from OCAT. It gives our athletes more opportunity to practice together as a team, and it allows more of our students to play not one, but two, sometimes three sports.
I played volleyball, basketball, and I ran outdoor track. All of my coaches have understood that I am here to get an education before I am here to play sports for them, and I've never had a problem missing practice a night for studying or for a test that I had, but they also expect responsibility and maturity, that you are there, that you do manage your time well, and that you play with a competitive attitude and a competitive spirit.
Our wrestling team embodies that kind of determination. We were national champs in 1947 and have qualified nearly every year since. Our teams compete in the Iowa Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, which is Division III of the NCAA. It's considered to be one of the most competitive conferences in the country. And, pay special attention to this record, we are 5th in the nation in the number of students who received prestigious NCAA postgraduate scholarships.
We've had student athletes that are involved in theater and music and student government and active groups on campus, and I think that has been the thing that has allowed them to grow as people and become leaders and have really a great experience.
I think I've learned a lot of lessons just from football itself, just if you're working in a team, to expect things from your teammates as well, but also expect you to do your job as well. And that's something I learned from there and used that when I was a peer advocate with the new student orientation team.
One of the things we like to teach is that leadership is not a destination, it's a process. So regardless of what a student has experienced before arriving at Cornell, we like to help them enhance their skills.
The power of what we do here at Cornell College can't be fully explained in a video or viewbook. You need to visit us and get all your questions answered. Ask us about OCAT.
I said, okay, now if you do this in 3.5 weeks, what does that equal? And it equals a whole lot more time with the professor is what it does.
In our hearts, we don't think he would have done as well anywhere else. He's gotten a lot just from that one-on-one, a lot of direction with his career choices, his major, and those kinds of things. So that's been a real plus. That's something that justifies the cost, if you will. It really does.
It does.
Come see us and ask about the value of a Cornell education. We'd love to talk about that.
It's the kind of support and the kind of things that come with the classes that make Cornell worth the money. So you don't just get an education. Like I said, you find yourself and you find out what you can do as a person, and then you're ready to go out into the world. So I usually tell those parents, well, you can shell out the money now, or you can send them somewhere else and they'll come live with you for the next 30 years, and that's going to be even more expensive.
Ask us about our graduates. How prepared are they to succeed in graduate and professional schools and in their careers?
I do hear students say things like, we were assigned a project that's due in 2 weeks, and everyone else in my class said 2 weeks, and I thought, 2 weeks, that's a lifetime. I can do anything in 2 weeks. So they've had that experience of doing things on a short deadline that benefits them in graduate school.
Leadership, service, amazing people, a beautiful campus, and incredible opportunities through this unique experience we call One Course at a Time. Ask us if Cornell changes lives. Lauren Buckner's coursework in Central and South America so influenced her that after graduation, she's going back there to teach.
All around, I've just become a better person, and I've become a stronger person. And I think right now I'm ready to go out in the real world, and I feel as if I'm capable of doing that.
I really feel like, show me the mountain, I can climb it. Anything you've got to throw at me, I can get past it now. I'm really confident in myself and my abilities to get things done. And I was definitely not that way coming to Cornell. I was very unsure of myself. So I feel like it was a real kind of blossoming time for me coming into myself.
It's really very special people. When you blend faculty members and staff members with that kind of commitment, with students who are bright and energetic and inquisitive and who care a lot about the world around them, the mix is electric and it's exciting, and that's what's special about Cornell.